thanks for joining me today. This is day 3 of my 12 Days of Christmas Ornaments video series, and we are going to be making this super cute little vintage Tart tin stamped ornament. So let's get started. For this project, I've decided to use the Holiday Tag stamp set. I really like these images because they're super cute, but they're very small scale images, so they're perfect for little projects like this. And I'm going to use this mug here with the candy cane in it. And I've cut 2 pieces of cardstock using my Spellbinder's Nestabilities, and the image is going to be on this super cute text paper that has The Night Before Christmas on it. Because I want the text to show through the image, I'm going to be watercoloring this image. And to do watercoloring, you need a dye ink. It needs to be a water-based ink, and I am using Stampin' Up's Classic ink. I really like the way their ink watercolors, and I am using Pool Party and Real Red. And then I'm using a water brush, and this is just a paintbrush that has an empty barrel that you twist off, and there's just tap water in there, and so you can control the flow of the water through the brush. So it's a lot easier than trying to use watercolor paints and a cup of water, and there's just a lot less mess. And I'm also going to be using my black StazOn because this is a solvent ink, so it is waterproof. If we were to use the Memento ink, this is also a dye ink, and so is water soluble like these dye inks, and so our image, the lines would smudge while we were watercoloring. So we are going to be using the StazOn ink. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my image on my circle of text paper. And again, I'm using the black StazOn ink. And I will just do my best to center that and stamp. And there is my image all ready to color in. To watercolor with the Stampin' Up ink, I just like to kind of squish the pad together like this, and then when you open it up, you have a nice pool of ink in the lid of your ink pad that you can use to pull from for your watercoloring. So now that I have my ink in the lids of my ink pads, I'm ready to start coloring. And I like to keep just plain paper towel, and I kind of keep it in my left hand while I'm watercoloring. You use it to kind of get the brush started, and then you use it when you want to change colors. You can clean off your brush, or if you have too much water on your brush or something like that. So I just kind of keep this scrunched up in my left hand while I'm coloring. And you just use your brush, just like a regular brush, to pull ink from the lid of your pad. And if you squeeze the barrel up here, that will put more water in through your brush. I don't really want too much water for this. So I'm just going to start coloring the stripes on my candy cane. So then I can just clean my brush by squirting some water through it and just rub it on my paper towel until it comes clean of that red. And then I'm ready to move on to my turquoise color. And I'm going to use that to color in the mug. And this is a kind of non-traditional color palette here for Christmas, but this is actually one of my all-time favorite color combinations, this kind of turquoise and red, and I think it is just so pretty and so unique for Christmas, or really for any kind of project that you're doing. So now that my watercoloring is done, to add just a little bit of something special to the whipped cream on top of my mug, I have a Sakura Jelly Roll Stardust pen, and this is a clear Stardust pen. It is just a super fine clear glitter that is in a pen. So I am just going to kind of outline my whipped cream here a little bit, just going around where all the lines are of the stamp, just to give it a little detail. So I just realized that up until now I have filmed all of this video in manual focus mode on my camera, so I do apologize if there have been any focus issues. I set my watercolored piece aside for a little while to dry, and now that it is all nice and dry, you'll notice when you do this it gets a little bit warped. just from the wet watercolor on the paper. So I am going to stick it down to my slightly larger circle here in this sort of candy cane stripe. And I'm going to make sure to put quite a bit of adhesive on the back of this, just to make sure that it sits flat. And then I'll just center that. Make sure it's stuck down really well. Now I got these vintage tartlet tins on eBay actually. They are, the bottom I think is about 2 inches and they're about maybe an inch and a half high. And these are actual legit Tart tins. I know you can get, Jenny Bolin makes them that are meant for crafting that come in packages of kind of varying sizes from small to large. But I got these on eBay and I think they're super cute as is, but just for something a little bit different, I actually went through mine and I painted them with 2 coats of kind of an off-white, just plain old ordinary acrylic craft paint. I like to use my Tombow Mono multi-glue. I'm just going to put a small ring around the outside. It kind of has this little lip right here. It's not going to sit on the indented part in the middle. So I just want to put a little bit on this flat lip. And then we'll just drop this down in. Okay, now I'm going to take my Crocodile and on the 2 scallops of my Tart tin that are sort of the closest to the top, I'm going to go in just part of the way on my Crocodile, and with the smaller of the 2 holes, just punch a hole, and your Crocodile will go through the Tart tin. It's pretty incredible. So I'm just going to punch another hole in the center of the scallop right next to it. So now I've got a piece of this cherry polka dot ribbon, and I'm just going to cut the end at a pretty good angle to help me feed it through the holes. And I'm going to go down into the first hole and up through the second hole. And then I'm just going to tie these together in a knot and trim my ribbon ends. And there is our cute little vintage Tart tin ornament. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you back tomorrow for the next day in my 12 Days of Christmas Ornament series. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.